But when Shane shot Lou in the chest, and she just kept coming, that's when I knew what an ass I'd been. That Annette had been dead long ago, and I was feeding her rotten corpse.
I'm Enigma and I'm a qualified body language analyst and private investigator, and today I'm going to be reacting to a really great scene from season 2 of The Walking Dead, where after Shane shoots all the walkers in the barn, Hershel takes himself off alone to the bar and breaks his sobriety. Meanwhile, Shane and T-Dog clean up corpses. So, let's take a look.
So what do we do? Just wait for him to pass out?
Just go. Just go.
I promised Maggie I'd bring you home safe.
Like you promised that little girl?
So what's your plan? Finish that bottle? Drink yourself to death and leave your girls alone?
Stop telling me how to care for my family, my farm. You people are like a plague.
When Hershel mentions Sophia, Rick briefly freezes due to the trauma he carries from her death. Hearing her name involuntarily retrieves the memory from his hippocampus, overloading his prefrontal cortex with emotion. His hypothalamus then activates the sympathetic nervous system, generating a stress response, forcing him to freeze as a survival mechanism to reduce his visibility to potential predators. And when he snaps out of it, he immediately becomes more confrontational, prompting Hershel's response.
I do the Christian thing, give you shelter, and you destroyed it all.
The world was already in bad shape when we met.
And you take no responsibility. You're supposed to be their leader.
Well, I'm here now, aren't I?
Yes. Yes. Yes, you are.
Rick briefly distances before shouting back at Hershel, and when Hershel shouts, Rick's amygdala detects a social threat, triggering an automatic self-protection reflex. He respects Hershel as an authority figure, so his emotional reaction to the confrontation is heightened. By diverting his attention, he stimulates his parasympathetic nervous system, which regulates his arousal. He then swallows, which is known as the globus response, caused by muscle tension in the throat, signaling his defense mechanism has become activated. Hershel shows no such cues because, as the authority figure, he feels no threat and trusts Rick, making this a reprimand rather than a challenge. Alcohol may also dampen his emotional reactivity here.
Come on. Your girls need you now, more than ever.
I didn't want to believe you. You told me there was no cure, that these people were dead, not sick. I chose not to believe that. But when Shane shot Lou in the chest, and she just kept coming, that's when I knew what an ass I'd been.
When Rick says that his girls need him, Hershel does what's called a smile mask and pulls a smile. He does this to mask his actual emotion in a socially acceptable way, and this is clearly exaggerated due to the alcohol. He's in a state of deep embarrassment and internal emotional processing, which is why his nonverbals appear inconsistent and incoherent. When the brain experiences extreme emotional arousal, it prioritizes internal emotional processing and reduces focus on maintaining coherent nonverbals. And this is even worse when drunk. It's why drunk people often react very strangely to things, especially when they're emotional, as their capacity to process is reduced, meaning they experience cognitive load. Hershel does it overtly here when his daughters are mentioned. He's deeply embarrassed and ashamed.
That Annette had been dead long ago, and I was feeding her rotten corpse. That's when I knew there was no hope. And when that little girl came out of the barn, the look on your face, I knew you knew it too. Right? There is no hope. And you know it now, like I do. Don't you? There is no hope for any of us.
Hershel holds extreme eye contact with Rick here when discussing hope. He does this to force mutual recognition. He's trying to prevent avoidance and deflection from Rick, which is what we actually see him doing here. Rick immediately distances when pressed on whether or not he has any hope left. which is exactly why Hershel keeps making the strong eye contact. Eye contact activates attachment and trust pathways in the brain. Rick is also expressing muscle tension as he's feeling sympathetic activation from the emotion of remembering Sophia and, well, the fall of the world.
You ready?
Yeah. Man, how many times we gonna have to do this?
So Shane is expressing facial tension here when looking at the corpses, and then immediately does what's called a power pose and rests his hands on his hips. He's not doing this because he's experiencing any physiological arousal. He's physically exhausted, and physical exertion increases perceived vulnerability, as he's less capable of defending himself as he's tired. When the body feels depleted, the brain can compensate by holding this pose, which acts as physiological compensation for his reduced ability to defend himself. This also produces a psychophysiological feedback, helping reduce his cortisol levels.
Look, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. Cleaning up after you. You know what the truth is? Nothing has changed. Death is death. It's always been there. Whether it's from heart attack, cancer, or a walker, what's the difference? You didn't think it was hopeless before, did you? And now there are people back at home trying to hang on, and they need us. Even if it's just to give them a reason to go on, even if we don't believe it ourselves. You know what? This isn't about what we believe anymore. It's about them.
Rick places his hand on Hershel's back when gesturing overtly, using the physical contact to build rapport with him. This physical touch engages Hershel's somatosensory cortex, which stimulates his amygdala to strengthen emotional resonance, building rapport and making Hershel more receptive to Rick's persuasion. And Hershel is receptive to this. He makes strong eye contact with Rick, and then slowly looks away whilst thinking about what Rick said.
Son of a bitch. They're alive.
So Rick again makes physical contact here and touches his shoulder. He's again comforting Hershel and building rapport with him. And when the two strangers walk into the bar, both Rick and Hershel freeze, with their mouths slightly open. This is a classical freeze response, which is a survival mechanism triggered by the amygdala when the brain detects an extreme threat. During this state, motor function is temporarily inhibited to prevent movement that could reveal their location, while respiration rate increases due to sympathetic nervous system activation, preparing the body to enter the fight or flight response. It's a really detailed and well acted scene.